Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. In my hands is Ancient Enemies number 2. Written by Didio, art by Danilo Beyruth, colors by Alex Sinclair, lettering by Carlson Mangual. There's also a backup story about the Geek that is done by Frank Miller, written and drawn by him, and colors by Alex Sinclair with lettering by Pete Carlson. Alright, so Ancient Enemies. It was an interesting debut issue. Actually, I dug the debut issue, one of the series from Frank Miller Presents. So the reason I liked the first issue is I thought it did a really good job of setting up some conflict and having some layered versions of conflict. The stories, like aliens kind of came to Earth, they destroyed a whole bunch of cities and killed a whole bunch of people. And the first issue focused on these two cities. One that's kind of been rebuilt in, gotten like government subsidies, has gotten technology, has kind of gotten the focus. And then there's the other city across the river that's been left behind. Of course, the city that's been left behind is the workers, where the workers live, that have not benefited from this future city being rebuilt. So there's this really interesting dynamic of classism and society and capital and focus of government, and all, like, really interesting stuff. Like, it has a lot of potential there. There's also a superhero group that is on the one side in like the futuristic city that's there to kind of like help, guide things, and then the other city that's kind of fallen apart has its own superhero who's kind of the classic version that's been there for a while. And then you have these aliens that came. They seem to be resurrected with two sides themselves. So there seems to be a lot of division between two groups, and how I think it's going to kind of play out in layers should be really, really interesting for the series overall. So, like, there's some really good concepts underneath. The second issue really focuses on the conflict from that first one. The first issue ended with a bridge being blown up, and this superhero group having to go and kind of figure out, one, what was going on, and also, deal with survivors and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, like, this superhero group is like, they're the rich kids. They're the ones that are kind of punks we don't really like. So a lot of the issue focuses on them. We also get some background and history of the other hero from, and that group's called the Greater Good, by the way. And then the other is the Wraith, and we get some background on the Wraith as well. And, overall, it's good. Like, it's a good continuation of the first issue. I don't think it necessarily stands on its own quite as well as that first issue. It doesn't focus as much on, those concepts that I really enjoyed about that first issue. And honestly, the Greater Good, I kind of like want to punch them all. Like, they're not very likable. And since a lot of the issue focuses on them, it's kind of hard to, like, completely be rah-rah about the issue. They're jackasses is what it comes down to. And they're supposed to be. Like, Didio does a great job like that. But when you have a lot of the issue kind of focused on that, and really it's just that, like, that continuing of that setup, it's, and you don't have some of those other things that I think really stood out in that first issue, it's not quite as strong of a second issue. But as a continuation of the first issue, I think it does a really good job of getting things going. Because now, I'm not going to kind of go into it, but now, like, the ball's rolling is what it comes down to it. The Geek is interesting. It's very Frank Miller at the end. It's a character introduced in the second issue as well. And, I actually really kind of like it. It's goofy. It's weird. There's something to it. There's also a whole bunch of, like, back material where we learn about the characters and their history and stuff like that, which is cool. So overall, like, not as strong as the first issue, but I think a good second issue, if that makes sense. Like, it continues the story from the first, and I think continues it pretty well. I think the weakest part about this so far is there's a lot of gap between the first issue and second issue. It feels like we've been waiting for a while. I know it seems like these are going to be coming out every other month. I really wish it was monthly, because I honestly kind of forgot what was going on in the first issue. I didn't quite remember everything. So there is, like, a one-shot, I think, that's coming out in February that focuses on one of the characters, and then there's going to be another issue 3 is going to be in March, which I think could work at that point. Like if we could do, as long as there's something continuing in the story, I think it would be really, really helpful. So a 2-month gap, though, is a little bit too much for the series. So overall, like it's not a bad second issue. It's a good second issue. The series is intriguing. I have a feeling this might be one that's going to wind up being a lot stronger reading it as a whole after a really strong first issue. So it's intriguing. I'm definitely intrigued. I think this is the best series so far I'm reading of the Frank Miller Presents. This is out now in shops. You can go get it. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code. It'll tell the comic shops near you. No shop, no problem. We have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so we do get a small percentage by doing that. You'll support our site, so thank you. And just watching our videos support us, so thank you for that. If you're into comics, you can check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok, and Mastodon, all Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics, and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.